Check, check. Hello, everybody. We are back, and we are going to do inventory. If it's going to kill me or not, I'm going to do it. So, this morning, for work, I went and made some changes. I decided it'd be good that these would be prefabs, right? So that if I make a change to one, I can make it to all of them real quick. I didn't think of that before. I made the button and text at the same level in the hierarchy. The inventory object that you're seeing here, that's the prefab, is at a higher level, and it has the grid object layout on it, and it's a fixed row count, so there's 2 rows. That puts the text beneath the item. And I didn't think of that yesterday. Right, so we get some situations where it starts to look like this, right? There might be some things that I did specifically to this one. Image we don't want to do, this we do. So I'm going to apply this to all of them. Apply to inventory. We change the rect transform somehow where it's anchored at. Yep, apply that. The image, we don't want to apply this. Don't want to apply that because it's already set. And then preserve aspect ratio is already set as well. And then on the rect transform, anchor point again. Let's apply all those. Can you apply, please? I said apply. Awesome. So that should take care of it. This one says inventory screen. We don't actually want that. Then I went and created these 2 sprites. I don't have them set up all the way. Kind of did in a hurry. 128. So we'll do these in 128. We'll do point 32-bit RGBA. Apply. Now we're good. So we can go in here, Sprite Editor. And it is not perfect again. Let's deal with it for now. We want to grab this and pull it into, say, there. That into there. Make this into a nice 9 slice so that it can scale appropriately. I'm going to have to clean that up, though, aren't I? Okay. So what's the blue for? What's the red for? Well, one's going to be the secondary, and one's going to be the primary weapon indicator in my inventory screens. I think that the inventory screen itself is probably going to take quite a bit of coding. All doable coding, but a pain. Because so now, if we go to this inventory and set it to primary select, and we say full alpha, please, we get the image in there, and that does need to be corrected. Dang, that looks horrible without that. Now I had this one set up similarly, but you don't notice it in this one, right? Because I actually took this image, turned that off. Oh, sorry, I turned this off, and then made it blue, and saved it. In fact, there's my color blue. Gee. And it does that. So let's turn down that tolerance. Really? It must be faded in some way? So a way we can do like a color displacement? What if we did an adjustment layer? I really don't know how those work. Okay. Oh. There's my stream notification. Solid color. Okay. Let me look at this. Yeah, okay, it's my notification. So if I take all of this from this layer, Control A, Control C, maybe I can paste it into this adjustment layer. Nope. Edit, paste special, paste in place, paste outside, paste into, paste into. No. Like I want the adjustment layer there. Oh, let's do it this way. So that is what's messed up. Okay, so if we come up here now, and we grab our fill bucket, and then it basically needs to be the opposite of that, doesn't it? Control Z. I need to Control Shift I. There we go. Now if I adjust you, what do you do? We're bringing you over to yellow. I'm sorry, to blue. That's what we want. What do you look like then? Oh, the effect layer isn't turned on. Still doesn't work. So we're adjusting it all to that solid blue. Well, I can just touch them up. That's probably easier, quicker. Because all I need to do is turn this effect layer off. Boom. And then I can use my eraser tool. There we go. Oh. So, what I realized earlier today, this morning, was that I don't need to have drag and drop capability on this screen. Because we're probably also going to want some way of displaying some type of description and text to the player. And a good way to do that is to use basically these items as buttons, and they pop up another window. And on that window is where you choose, I want this thing to be my primary weapon, right? It's going to have a couple buttons on there. One says primary, one says secondary, basically. And that's how you set them. Let's see how that looks now in the game. Much better. So what this is going to do is this is going to give us a way to indicate to the player that this is the primary, right? Or this is the secondary. Just thinking through, what about if they try and select both of them as the same? That would stink. We'll have to deal with that somehow. Like if it's the primary, don't let them click the button to make it a secondary. That'd be one way. Probably annoying for the player though. This song sounds like it's meowing. Meow, 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 meow. Whoop. Oak. There we go. And the last one. And turn the effect back on. Save. Okay, and we need to test it by setting this inventory to be secondary. Looks good to me. I mean, no one's going to zoom in that much. They should be able to at least. Okay. That works. We don't need to set the image. We don't need to set the text, really. We can set it by hand. So, sword, right? Oh, do we like it to be a bigger name than that? But there's really not the room for it, is there? How are we going to do that? This probably should have yet another text object above each one of these that says that, you know, it's primary and that turns on. Just to be a little bit more indicative. Is that the right word? For what we're trying to do. And then as far as showing the indicator or not, we set the right color and just turn the alpha on. Or we could just set the source, I guess. Just null it out if it's not primary. So we're going to need a script that's basically going to check through all the different inventory items to see if they are primary or secondary, and if they are, it highlights them. And then we need some way to indicate that they're primary or secondary in our inventory system, and we don't have that. We do not have that at all. The player needs to indicate what it is. We would need 2 inventory objects using our current setup. Okay, let's before we get down that rabbit hole, let's make the other panel. So this is one panel, this is the top panel, which will be like our bulk items, right? The bottom is our weapons and stuff. Let's create yet another panel at the same level, this here. UI panel. And we'll call this panel, gosh, just leave it just like it is. Gray out everything like that. You can't click on them probably then. That makes sense. INVENTORI pop up. And inside that we'll have yet another one. It's going to be another UI panel. And this UI panel will kind of be centered. Right, so we want it centered like that. And it's going to have an inset. But before we do that, let's grab this and throw it in there just so we can see it. Come on, where are you? There we go. Let's decrease your width. Do not want you to be the full thing. Your height, probably also. And then your X position could go down a bit. Or your Y position, sorry. Just so that we kind of cover up everything else. And then inside this, we're going to have a couple buttons, a text object, things like that. Probably have another image. So UI, 2 buttons. Button, where are you? But not child of each other, and this is going to have its own grid layout. And we're going to say you. Actually, we're going to need another panel here, aren't we? Just as like a parent. There we go. These get to go into here, and this gets to have the grid layout. Remove this one for right now. You get a grid layout. There we go. And you are not set up right. There we go, that's better. Actually, you're just screwed up all the way now, so cool. Okay, so this panel, we will say that you'll be column count 2. We will say that you're going to have another panel in here. Panel, panel, panel. This one's the top. And this is going to have a grid layout. And it's going to be row count 2. So we're going to have a panel at the top, a panel at the bottom. The cell size is going to be significantly taller. Okay. That's not what I expected, but... make sure it fills everything in. And then let's give this panel the same yellow thing. Okay, and this one the same yellow thing, just so I can see them visually, right? Okay, that's better. And now we can say you're all the way wide, right? So how are we going to do that? 902. There we go. And then on this panel, we want to say your center position is going to be not upper left, but middle center. So it aligns the buttons with the middle. And their size can be button sized, right? We actually need 3 buttons in there, don't we? We need like a cancel or close without setting it as a primary or secondary. So let's grab another button. Oops, there's a button. There we go. And on that panel, we need to go 3 wide. Set as primary. And then this one, set as secondary. And then this one, set as cancel. Close. Close. Let's see. Check, check. Check. Is that better? Oh my gosh, man, thank you. I should know by now to like be checking for that when there's absolutely nobody watching. Because people were coming in and they would stay for a little bit and then leave right away, and I was like, am I that boring doing inventory stuff today? Is that up? Okay, it's working in Discord now too. Wow. So there's something about this mic. Like, this Rode mic is a great mic. It sounds good. Or maybe it's just my computer. I don't know. Windows 10, ever since I got Windows 10, occasionally it just decides the mic's not there. And you just have to go into your microphone settings, go to default, and then back to that specific mic, and it's fixed. So I don't know what's up. Yay, I can talk now, though. Make a message in Discord. Okay. Good grief. So how's it going, Lord Smitches? Were you able to make any progress? I didn't get a chance to see your stream today. I know you said you were going to stream in the morning and then you couldn't this morning, but I didn't see if you did end up streaming. Did not get streamed today. Okay. Completely understand why you may not have streamed. Like, sometimes you just need to not do it. Like, mentally, I had a hard time for a while trying to want to stream. That makes sense. Looking forward to tomorrow, but the meds kill me with sleep-wise. Oh, okay. That's rough when you can't get out of bed because of that. Or if it's the other way around and you just can't sleep when you're in bed. Even my Discord bot thing must have known I wasn't talking because that's the first it's done that. So I'm trying to set the height and width of this Xbox here. Something like that. And then the color, don't want it to be white. Oh, and the font needs to be bigger than that so that people can actually read it. Go. This is the placeholder text for the description of this item. Blah, blah, blah. It's probably without the carriage returns in there. It holds a lot more text. Yeah, it does. So about that much text. That's a good amount. Then do we want to put the item name down here? And if we do, I think we do. Let's delete that and instead put my prefab of my item inventory thing in there. Or do we do it? No. Let's not do that. If I do that, then any script I put on those are going to be showing in here, and that would be funny. So let's just add another text object. And this will be the item name or whatever. And just show up right there. And its width needs to be narrowed down. A little bit more, so like 110. 100. Go. And then this image is going to be something like, not the arrow, but the different weapons. Sprites. So it'll show like this. Aww. Doesn't support the sprites. Or do I need to change the mode? Nope. Just throw a sprite render on it instead, maybe? Is that bad practice? I don't know. Because of order and layer, maybe? So if we go down, can't change this because it's on default sprite. Is there a UI one? Oh. What other elements is there? I could set it as a button, but take the button script off. So set it as a button. It is an image still. That image supports sprites. Take the button script off. Still supports the sword. So what's different about this image script from the image script we had before with the raw image? Oh, it's a raw image type. Okay. So let's just remove that and put image on instead. There we go. Preserve. Alright, and then this text here will make you white. So if we turn this one off, we go back to our normal inventory. So it's just a matter of toggling this on when we select something, setting the sprite here, the name here, the description here, and enabling or disabling these buttons based on states of what it is. So if it's already the primary weapon, the blue one there, we disable that button. Cool. Now my problem's going to be setting up my data structure to say what is primary, what's not primary. Because I was a genius and didn't think this far ahead. Let me find my player. It should be in here too somewhere. There we go. On my player, we've got a inventory something or another here, right here. So if I go to this, so I thought I was simplifying things when I created my inventory system. And by that I mean, I knew that there wouldn't be an infinite amount of items in my game. There'd be a dozen, a couple dozen at most, right? So I didn't make it in a way that's extensible or can be easily defined later. I made it so that I just hard code everything basically, right? And anything that's got that you can have a bulk number of, like arrows, keys, bombs, things like that you can consume, potions, they're integer based, right? So if you have more than one, you have a 1 there, right? Everything else though, like your weapons, your I've defeated this monster in the world and I've gotten his scorpion tail, for example. Those are just Boolean values, right? So do you have it or not? And that makes sense from the player's perspective. But when you go into the inventory screen's perspective, I'm going to have to hardcode each one of those buttons to look at a specific thing and display if we have that thing or not. Okay, I can hardcode a lot of stuff there. But then when I'm getting into what is the player's primary weapon and what is the player's secondary weapon, it just became a freaking pain in the butt. So, how do we handle that? I could do a enum, and the enum would be a subset of the total inventory, right? Because you're not going to have a key as your primary weapon. That doesn't make sense. That's doable. I could add it in here in the inventory class, make it static or something so that you can access it anywhere. And in my player class, I have 2 instances of that enum basically, right? So primary weapon and secondary weapon. And we just choose one of those values from the enum. But then that makes coding the inventory screen a big switch statement basically, right? On that enum, which is doable. Again, I'm not going to have 30,000 items. I'm going to have 12, 24, something like that neighborhood, right? Probably super efficient that way. But then the issue becomes another switch statement to pull back things like the item's name, things like the item's description. Again, doable, but pain. I was really happy with this inventory layout, right? It sets things up to be pretty stinking easy, right? This is my entire inventory class right here. And as I add new items, I add one bool, I set how you merge it, and I set how you clear it, which is just setting the bool to false, right? Let's just do this. I need to stop complaining. So, public static, can we do that? Enum? Weapons. Is public static even an option? Modifier static is not valid for this item. Your naming rule convention must be uppercase. Yeah, whatever. Uppercase. Oh, the whole thing must be uppercase. So you can't make it public, right? Or static. But from my player class, I could still call it like this, right? So I could say serializable field private inventory dot weapons. Yeah, I can still do that. And then say primary weapon. And do the same thing for secondary weapon. So we say sword. We say bow. Because that's the two weapons we actually have in the game right now. And in start, I was going to say we're going to set those in start, but I can make this work. So a public void get name, and it's going to take a weapon as its parameter or argument, whatever you want to call it. But it's not going to be void, it's going to be a string. And we say switch weapon. And then we'll do each of the weapons. So weapon, case, weapon dot bow, break, case, weapons dot sword, break, return, return. I don't need to do that, do I? Case default, return. If I can spell words. Gosh, if I could just spell words and put my microphone on, I could actually be a streamer. There we go. Does it recognize the default? Switch statements contain multiple cases with the label value 0. The default literal is the default is not valid as a case constant. No, 0 null is appropriate. Is it because it recognizes the enum's complete? I've captured all the cases. Could be. Why are we airing off here? It recognizes it might not return anything, so return nothing. And then basically we take this same type of structure, get name, get description. A ranged weapon that shoots arrows. Your father's sword. Obviously we can expand upon those as we desire later. Just setting up the structure basically right now is the goal. I'll just save this. It automatically formats them. There we go. We're gonna set it there. Set this here. That's an interesting thing. So I was thinking originally that all of the items in the game would be weapons, but there's going to be things like drops from monsters that are, or bosses that are not necessarily weapons, like the scorpion tail. So we wouldn't want to include that in the weapons list. And I guess we could create a bool value that we set on the button in the inventory that says if this is a weapon or not. If it is a weapon, then it'll go through the code to try and set primary or secondary and all that stuff. Otherwise, it'll disable that. That should work. Let's run the game! We're just going to get a screen that looks like this when I open up the inventory screen, but I do want to do that and make sure it actually looks decent in-game. And it resizes and all that stuff. It's not going to have any functionality yet. Could you run Unity, please? Next song. You put me to sleep. Come on, Unity. Okay, finally. Cool. That all resized. This did not. Although I don't know if I'm upset by that fact. It doesn't look bad. Can't click on those buttons, doesn't look like. You can click on these. They don't do anything, but they can click on them. I do see one thing visually I want to change though. Right, so we've got that panel and a panel and a panel thing. And I don't like that. So this is the bottom, this is the top. This one here needs nothing for its background image, basically. And then we can set its alpha to 0. No, we can set it to full, but we'll set it to full black. There we go. That'll give us a nice background behind those two partial panels. The top and bottom panel, I don't know what else to call them. Okay, man. Have a good night. Hope you sleep better tonight. I'll try and catch you streaming when I can next time. Like I said, you just usually stream during the day when I'm at work, so it's hard to do. I appreciate you stopping by, man. So this looks okay. We need to adjust the bottom a little bit, I guess, because that it's showing as black now. Just so it's an even black all the way around. Oh no, don't kill me. I'm too young. So if we shrink down the height, what's that do to us? It starts messing with our panels. Do we have a border set on this? We do not. We have our cell size set off from the height though. So there's two cells, height, which would be 420. That was not intentional. And our height is much higher than that. Let's say like 425, I guess. Get a little bit of a shading or shadow effect to it, even though that's not really what it is. 423. There we go. Let's try that. Start. Cool. Now, that particular panel that we're seeing is coming when the pause panel is on, right? So this needs to be disabled altogether. And now when we go into the game, when I hit escape, it's going to take me to the pause menu instead. Yeah, so pause. The pause menu is really crappy right now. It's just a screen. Okay, so now we need to hook into wherever we did that escape thing at, probably in the event system. Yeah, menu interactions. So we need to go into this. We're going to build this out piece by piece, guys. I just need to do it that way. I'm sorry. So escape is the key code. We're going to want to leave that as that. But what we will do is on our inputs, project settings, inputs, we've got a horizontal, vertical, fire 1, fire 2, all that stuff, interact, but then we're going to do number 20. And number 20 is going to be not interact, it's going to be named inventory. And the button is not going to be the E key, but it is going to be the tab. I think that's how you do it, is tab. Nope. Nope. Google time! How do you do tab as a key in Unity? Unity input system tab key bound to input. Tab between input fields, create custom intent manager. Define input and accent games accesses. Nope. Positive. The name of the button that sends the positive value to the access. Why is that not tab? Man, I could just bind it to the tab key, but I wanted to be able to kind of use their system so that if I needed to change it, I can, because that's what that's about. Like if the player wants a different key. If input dot get key down key code dot tab, we're just going to set this up. Okay, we're going to is game paused, basically is what it's looking for. So we're going to set up another variable, public static bool is inventory open equals false. I'm going to check to see if it is. If is inventory open. We're going to do that. Else, we're going to do this and open the inventory. Let's say close the inventory. And then here, so pause actually goes in and sets is game pause to true and the time scale and all that. This pauses the game and display the sign text. So we're going to need to do this inside of our show inventory window so that we can get the yep. Because all it's doing is this, and then unpause will handle all this. Because the player hits escape to get out of the one. They're going to hit escape to get out of this, maybe? Maybe? I don't know. So public static void open inventory. Right? And we're going to call that first, so it pauses the game. Calling it with false, so it doesn't show the pause menu. All right, we're just going to skip that whole section. Basically, we need to grab this UI panel somewhere, which is set here. Okay, so we can set one up here. So we'll say inventory panel. Just like that. An inventory panel is going to equal game object, but with a capital G. Find game object with tag. And that game object's name is, or tag is, not set, and won't let me click on it. There we go. Inventory panel. Inventory UI panel. We'll just throw the word UI in there. Or letters, I guess. You can't convert from a game. Oh. So open inventory, we'll just say this dot set active, true. And then down here we'll say public static void trying to do too many things at once. Void close inventory. Don't need to worry about pausing the game anymore. That's what you just call unpause. Right, yep. And then we'll say this is false. And that should trigger the whole thing to go. We do need to say is inventory open true. And false here. Right, and then we can say close inventory, open inventory. Should do it. Let's try it. Hit the tab key and we get the inventory screen and it all works. We can test out, you know, open and close it a few times. Hit escape, hit tab, all those kind of things. So there's our pause menu. Tab is doing nothing. What if I do this, then tab, nothing? Okay, let's see what's up with that. Key down, open inventory. Any errors, that's probably the best thing to look for, right? Well, there is because it killed us. Inventory menu interactions 92. Set UI panel. Set active false. Sign UI panel. Really? So this never found a game object? Oh. We never tagged this. That very well is it. It's probably a different line than what I got clicked on. Start. Tab. Okay, we got an error. Sign UI panels. How is that not a reference of an object? Whatever. Ah. We're saying unpause there. Okay, I get it. This actually needs to be active at first. And then we need to say close inventory. Like they need to be active for these to work, these find game objects attack. If I remember right. Still no air, still no working. Sign UI panel is still just airing off. Because I disabled it by mistake. Okay. What's our error now? There is none. That's just because I killed the guy. Okay. We said close inventory. What if we did that first? Technically gonna call on pause, which is fine. It's just gonna set them to false. Let's try her again. Open inventory. We're setting the inventory UI panel to true. Attached to Unity. Let's debug this bad boy. Still build. Now it's working. Oh, let's restart this. Close Steam out. Start. Okay, it's not getting called. That would be why. Love debug mode, like just pointing out the obvious things to you because it never actually runs in debug mode. Breakpoint never gets reached because you were just dumb to begin with. Still made me find the bug though. Go. So I can bring this up while it's paused. If I close it by hitting tab, it takes out of the pause mode, which is okay. But what if I go into this, then hit escape? It closes that. And now escaping does that. So we need to set close inventory if we're doing this. Like if we're going into the pause menu, we're actually showing the pause menu. We need to not set the inventory UI panel to active. Inventory UI panel dot set active false. So we can go from the tabbed, even though it's paused, inventory screen to, there we go. So that's escape, that's tab, escape there, and it just unpauses everything and then goes to here. Just fine when I hit escape again multiple times. Hit tab and come back here, tab, 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 escape, tab, tab, escape. Yeah, I think we're good now. So the next thing I need to do is just like make sure that that sub screen is not open, right? When we go into it, when we first go into the inventory panel, the inventory pop-up. So let's tag that one. Inventory UI pop-up. Okay, and we'll tag it on here. Okay, save that, and we'll go into here, and we'll create game object for it. Public static game object. And it's gonna be that. We're gonna find it with that equals game object. Find game objects with tag. And that is our tag. Do an I, lowercase, just so we're consistent here. Crossed our names. And we go to open inventory, which is this one. We will set this to false. There. So now if I run into it, it shouldn't open that at all. Hit start. And go to tab. We're now into this. Notice that the guy's not moving. The game does pause when you do this, right? Now, the next thing is when we hit one of these buttons, we want the pop-up to come up. So let's code for that. I think that we can do that. So on the button itself, inventory pop-up, no, not these. We want these buttons. We want to set this, right? And we're going to set that to a specific method. From the event system that has the menu interaction script. Okay, so let's go to the menu interaction script and we'll say public static void, because I guess it doesn't need to be static though. I don't think it should be static for this. Public void display inventory pop-up. And we'll just do whatever that was, .set active, true. That should be all there's to it. Okay, so now on those UI elements, the buttons themselves, once it compiles, down here I can say add the game object, which is the event system. And the function is menu interactions display inventory pop-up. Now the question is, what would happen if that did have a parameter on it, right? It's like display sign text. So you could actually parameterize it in here. Okay, that's good. Let's go back to menu interactions, display sign pop-up. So let's do this weapons enum, right? Now let's do the inventory. So inventory to display. Save. Now I don't know if this is going to work because that inventory class is kind of special. So to build. Okay. Check it again. It doesn't show up as an option because it's not a simple data type. So I need a way to tell this method what my inventory item is. So that I can use this single method from all my buttons. Let's see if it does take the enum. The enum's not powerful enough yet. But if it does, then we can modify it to a different enum. Hey Eagle, how's it going? Come on, compile. There we go. Menu interactions. Display pop-up. Nope. Shoot. So what's the limitations of this? Can I take an integer? Integer can translate back to the enum, right? What? Save you. Back to Unity. Okay, so it can take an integer. Why can't it take an enum then? Because an enum's an integer. Inventory dot weapons. Because that would be amazing, because then I could just choose from the list, because Unity does handle enums in most places. The list of values. It's not gonna let me. So what is that called? It's an action, right? In the event system. So let me look at some of my other code here. Projectile damage, fire pit, floor button. There we go. Unity of trigger event. Unity trigger event arguments. Trigger event for the API. Arguments. Really? What are we calling on it? Calling. Invoke. Fetching this component to a game object will make that object intercept all events, and no events will propagate to the parent objects. Well, that is good to know. I didn't know that. There are two ways to intercept events. You could extend event trigger, or override the function for the events that you're interested in intercepting. Okay, but what about the parameters to these things in the GUI? That's what I want to know. Passing parameters with an event. Don't know much about the events, but you could direct regular event. No. Right, that's nothing with the editor. It's all just code. I don't want the code version, people. There we go. That's the exact question I want. No one answered. Well, we can do it with strings or integers. We know that. I'm imagining other simple data types would work as well. Any event with arguments, same stack change. Try this one. Not really what I'm going for. It's all code based. I want to know what's valid, what's not. That's all I want to know. Okay, we'll just do it with an integer. Int. Pretty sure C# and other programming languages as well all take these as numeric values when they're enum. But I can do something silly like this. Public weapon as get weapon from int int, right? And then we just say int weapon in weapon. We'll say switch in weapon case 1 and case 0 probably, right? A sword. Return weapons dot sword. Bow. There we go. That makes the order in these important then. Really? Return what? Weapons. That's sword. This will just be our default, sure. Okay, so then we can just call this with an integer. And we'll just have to brain-wise know that's what the integer should be for these. Great. I hate doing that, but that's what we gotta do. Because I'm trying to make this simple for myself later. Not that this is really going to be super simple now, though. Why aren't you getting what I want? Integer to display. Display, pop-up inventory. So this will be the sword, right? Number one is going to be the sword. Let's go ahead and turn this other panel off. We can see. All right, which one we're selecting here. So that'll be sword. On this. Oh, which button did we hook it up to? Crap. Which button did I have? I really don't know. So it's going to be event system. Menu interaction, display inventory pop-up. And this is also a sword, so we're going to leave it at 0 for now. And then we're going to go on to the bow, right? And this one's going to be different. So let's see. Can I? Probably can. Let's get all these open. And see if we can set a lot of these properties all at once, because they're all going to have the same type of thing, an integer value. Oh boy, so boom, boom, cool, we can. So we say plus, we drag in event system, we drag to this, and then this is where they're going to diverge. Like each one's going to have a different number, right? That's 0, that'll be 0. It's got twice because I selected twice, but whatever. And this one's got twice as well. One. Okay, just making sure it was that 1. So this will be a 1. And this will be a 1. Okay, and then we're saying this to true. And then we're going to call another function somewhere else that's basically going to take that inventory to display and translate it into what that needs to be shown on the screen. Or we'll do it in here. I'll probably do it in here. But for now, let's see if we can get those to even show, right? When I hit the button. Start. Tab. And we're broke. Oh, because I probably set it to disabled. I need to make sure those are all enabled always. That way it gets the object. Save. Start. There we go. So I hit this, we get the pop-up. Awesome. Now the only way to get rid of it is to close out of it for now. This should work for all of them right at the moment because all of them are tied into the same inventory screen. So next we just set up that this little pop-up window to display the correct thing for that weapon, right? Yeah. So on the inventory itself, we just tonight created get name and get description, and those take weapons. And guess what? We've got this nice little helper function that goes here and does this. So we can, in this bad boy, say this with our inventory to display, and we'll cache this as a inventory.weapon, so we only have to do it once. And it's just, we'll just call it W. And W dot, we'll see how we're gonna do this. Inventory dot we do this static. Thank you. And then this probably should be static as well. Not sure how it let me run this one, but okay. It didn't. And then we'll say inventory.get name equals, no, we'll say W for the weapon. And get description. And those need to be set on the text objects for the name and description, so we need to grab what those are somehow in our references somewhere, blah, blah, blah. This is getting a little fuzzy to me as to what needs to be done, but I think I can do this through the Unity editor here. I can set my text1 to, so let's rename this, txt item name and txt item description. And instead of doing lookups to find these, because this, I don't know if this is going to be displayed or not, we'll just do it a different way. Image, item image, img item. Right, so we're going to grab this. In a menu interaction, we're going to set 3 new serializable fields. Okay, it's already using UI, so we'll say serializable field, serializable field, private. The first one's going to be an image, imag, and it will be called item image. Let's see, inventory pop up item image. There we go. Try and get it nice and long in case this ends up being a lot more GUI to this game later on. Text this inventory item pop up text item description text. Item description is good enough. Same thing, just name. Name. Let's get these right things in the right places. Here we go. There we go. And then down here we'll say tx. Oh gosh, what did I name it? Inventory pop-up display. And there we go. That dot text equals that. Like this. I'm gonna do this with this, only it'll be description. Boom. I know we're not gonna do the image yet. I haven't figured out how to do the image yet. That's okay. We need to have one more method somewhere on the inventory class that basically says, is this item ID your item number, right? A weapon. So escape, go to that. Tab, we go to this. I click this, and it didn't change the text. Oh, right. That's fine. It's working as it should. I didn't set them in here, so I physically have to drag them in for this work. Name, the name, and description to description. Save. Boom. Start. Tab. Click your father's sword. Can't close it. Your father's sword. A ranged weapon that shoots arrows. It's working! The enemy wasn't trying to run away. That's funny. Ah, I have a flaming arrow. He needs to play that death animation. Thank you, Eagle. He needs to play the death animation once and only once. Not loop it. So from death, it needs to go to exit. And that's going to be on all of these. Just needs to stop. See, like, he fell over dead and then got back up and started falling over again because he was doing that. And by the time the timer on his death, like, I despawn them after so long so they can play their animation. It's a little long right now. And I'm okay with that. They can sit on the ground dead. Hey, you got back up again. Cool. There's something to do with this. Don't you want to do in any other funny business, please? Whoa. This transition, please. 1, 0. 1, 0. So I must spin down I needed. 1, 0. Okay, up then? Yeah, up. 0. Like, this should just be nothing. Yeah, it's nothing. I don't get why it went to standing back up. I'm not gonna worry about it. I'll figure it out later. There's nothing that says loop or anything here, so I don't know what's up. No loop time. Maybe his death trigger is getting triggered more than once. That could be it too. It's trying to go over and over and over again. That's probably what's happening. We'll worry about that another time. So our inventory. We can wire up this button now, right? It's this one. And if we go back into this code, we can say close inventory pop-up. Public void close inventory pop-up. We don't care which button we're coming from, right? So we just do this. Play. Start. Why is he not moving? His legs. Close. Oh, I wrote the method and then didn't attach it. There. Save this plus event system. Menu. Close inventory pop-up. Start. How much longer? 15, 20 minutes, maybe 30? Hi, what's up? There we go. What do you guys think of the looks of these inventory screens? Do they look nice to you? Are they hideous? Am I going in the wrong direction with these? Turn off Maximise, go like this. So that's what would happen if it was that narrow. That's pretty small though. That works. Maybe I can set it to scale with the someone in here, I think. Anchor share screen space, world space, camera. You like the dialogue though? Okay. No, that's not what we wanted. We wanted this. Constant physical size. I think that's the right one. Nope, that's not doing what I thought. Constant physical size is physically moving in size, so that's not it. Scale with screen size? Maybe. Start. Tab. There is 4 buttons always this way. Let's maximize on play. And there's always 4 buttons wide. Now we're on the right path. Now I just need to tell it not width, but height. Or whatever it's set at, right? So right now we're saying match width or height. Reference image. We're going with width. Let's go with more with height. The gold text needs to be brighter. What do you mean by the gold text? Do you mean the one for the coin? By coin, I mean this. That's gonna get changed anyway. Like, it should be beneath it, not on top of it like that. Boy, I almost like this the way it was before. Without it set, trying to scale it. Blue, red, and green. These. Gotcha. That does need to be white, doesn't it? Thank you. Matches the rest of the text then that way. This does seem pretty big for the number of items I have. And this list of items is going to be significantly smaller if you don't have them all, right? So all of these that are just white buttons right now, those are just placeholders in case I add more items, but if you don't have that item, it's not going to show when I'm all said and done. Same thing with all of these too, right? So if I have only collected the first sword, I'm only going to see one item in here, and it will rearrange on the screen for you appropriately. It does seem kind of big in that regard. But could we do this then? So the nice thing about this is I'm using some automatic calculation of spacing and things like that. I've got a lot of white space between them right now, right? So if I make that 32 and 16 and then make these a little bit bigger, so 32 plus 64 is 96, and 8b plus 6, so 96 there too. What? That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. I don't know. That seems weird that they'd both end up being the same number when they're not square to begin with. They didn't get any bigger. What did I do wrong? Spacing. 64. So I added 32 to this. And 16 to that. Okay. Let's do this. I can see this if I turn this off. I just have to remember to turn it back on. And then I can say 96, 96, 2, 16, 104, 104. Like, we can just make the buttons physically bigger until they make sense. We really don't need any spacing between them, do we? Try like that. And I broke it because I didn't turn the thing back on. Awesome. That is not preferred. Let's put it that way. I need to make it so that that works no matter what. These don't feel like they've done much difference. They might even be the same size or smaller. Okay, later, Eagle. Have a good evening, man. Wait, Wednesday? Tuesday? I'll catch you tomorrow, if you're around. So we've set up a one-way street, basically, what I'm just thinking now. So I'm going to disable this. I'm going to break something, I know. And I'm going to click this, right? So we set up a one-way street here. There is no reference to this being button number 1 or the sword button, right? And that's got me a little bit concerned. I could set an inventory object on it. We could set an Enum on it. Maybe we need to set the Enum on it. So create a script that holds what the item is in a different form, right? An Enum. And use that Enum to determine if it's the same thing. But we're still going to hard code that Enum back to an integer in this stupid button event. I don't like that, but it's the only option. It's the only option. I could take the enum and set that value in code maybe on start. There's an interesting proposal. Thing is, I need to get the click event in there. Or no, I need to register that click event myself. That would do. It's event data. Then I'm hooking it up properly. That might be what I do. And then each of these buttons could populate themselves then at that point. So make the prefab. Okay, so let me make a note to myself for tomorrow, because I don't know if I'm going to get through all this tonight. Let's see. Let's do this in Trello. Oh yeah, I wanted to do that sometime too. And this is no longer an idea. We're not going to drag it anymore. Archive view. So down here, we're going to say inventory screen to do list. It's kind of like its own little thing. First thing, add script to all the inventory button prefabs. This script will have a serializable field that is the enum of all inventory items. This script on startup should set the buttons on click event to the menu handler script and set the argument to the appropriate value by using the enum or int enum or enum to int function on it. Question mark. I wonder if we can just cast a enum to an int. I bet we could somehow. I don't really want to have to create that function that I created already. Okay, so now we wrote that down just so I can remember it all, right? Now let's start doing some of it now. I don't know if I'm going to have time to do it all, but I'm going to start doing some of it. So this is going to be this, right? So we're going to add a new script, and it's going to be inventory button handler. Sure. I swear that there used to be a thing you could hit enter twice there and it would just do it, but it doesn't. Whatever. Okay. This is not going to take the... Come on, load your script. Load your script. Load it in. And while that's running, it's not going to take this enum. It's going to take a different one. Public enum inventory. And I don't know if this enum is going to be needed anymore. I might supersede it. That's really what I want in it, though. Right? I want those two things. Inventory. Type. Okay, did you create your script yet? Open you up. Thank you. We will need on start, right? We will not need on update. On start, we're gonna need a serializable field, like I said, serializable field of type inventory dot inventory type. Okay, and it's gonna be inventory. I'm just call it item type. Sure. And item type, can I do this? Item type dot toString compare get code get type. Huh. Gonna go off on a side tangent here for a moment. C# enum to int. Get an int value from enum in C# Stack Overflow. So you can just cast it. That's what I thought. So if I did int I equals int item type, will that work? There we go. So that means that this method's probably not going to be needed. We can just cast it like I just did. Always get a proper value then. Good. Good. So menu interactions is going to change to really nothing different. This will be an item type instead, right? And then these need to be item types. Okay. Inventory type. So we need a reference to the button, and it's button handler, right? So serializable field button. What we need to do using Unity Engine .ui, and say button btn, and btn dot on click is triggered. I think we just do plus equals, right? And then set up whatever the method is, which would be a reference to the menu interactions, different piece of code altogether. So we need to get that component from the inventory object or the event system object. So serializable field, game object, event system. Let me say event system. No. Wait, let's do it this way. Event system equals get component menu interaction. But that's not going to be on the same component though. Let's do this then. There we go. Okay, so Unity button set on click in code. If I get an example of it, please. On click add listener and calls the okay. Was that event system dot no. We want to cache this, so menu interactions mi equals that. Okay, mi dot what was it called? Display inventory pop-up. I'm going to put I into there, like that. Save. So in our startup, so what I'm going to do is this is going to be a serializable field. The enum is going to pop up as a list of values inside Unity. I can set that in Unity. It's going to get the integer value from that, going to find the menu interaction script, and say on the button that we're referencing, so that's at the button as well, its on-click event is going to add a listener, and that listener is going to be this display inventory pop-up I. So when someone clicks it, it's still going to call display pop-up inventory, and it's going to pass the parameter of whatever that item type is we set for the specific button. It's going to look cooler in the editor than when it does in code, trust me. Because this is no longer needed for all of the buttons. I guess I need to make this one work first, right? Yeah, so that one's not gonna have a problem anymore. Let's see, can we apply to inventory prefab? We're gonna remove this. We're going to, on the prefab itself, we're going to go on the overrides. For the button, we're gonna apply this one. We want it to be on all of our prefabs. We don't want this piece down here to be set. So we're gonna apply this as well. Although the image is gonna be different, right? That's gonna be the only problem. Or no, it's fine. Because it's a separate object. This is the image. We can apply the button. In the rect transform, don't care about. Don't care about text. We can set that as well, right? On start. We just need a reference to the text object. Oh, this is going to be awesome. Apply. So all of them say sword now, right? But watch this. We're going to go down to our button. And it's got this inventory button handler down here. It's kind of a weird place to put it, but oh well. The button. The event system. Apply those as well if we can. I don't know if the event system one's going to carry through, but we'll try. So does it apply? Yeah, okay. That's okay. I almost wonder, do I put this on the parent object instead? I think I do. And then it makes traversing all this fun stuff much easier. Come on. Yeah. Okay. And then let's add a text object to it as well after we apply this to it. So we're going to apply this. We're going to apply this. We're going to select all of these and set their event system. To be the same thing. Okay. Then we're going to go into this one. Yep. We're going to go here. We're going to say serializable field. Text value, right? We're not going to set it to anything in code, but we will down here say text value dot text equals the inventory dot get name, and it's currently going for a weapon, but we're going to change that, so we're saying item type. And in our inventory script instead, we're going to change this. We're basically renaming this is what we're doing, right? So what happens if we did that? I don't know. We're going to do this. This. We're going to get errors all over the place. This. You're fine. Stop complaining. You and you. And then back over in our menu interactions, we're probably going to have some errors somewhere, right? It's going to say weapons. We're going to say that instead. And life should be happy again. Okay. Back over here. We're not going to have that text object pop up. Oh, wait, we got an error message. Oh, need to finish our line. Okay, now we can go in this. Okay. We're going to get another compiler, really? Inventory type, inventory type. That might throw us for a loop, but this isn't being used anywhere right now. Come on. Good. So now we've got our text object, so we can say text button, right? And that's on our prefab, so all of those in theory should have it set. Now they do. And all of them have their event system set. Now, it should be as simple as saying this one's a sword, this one's a sword, and then these two... Wait. It's this one and this one. These two are bow. And playing it, and now everything should work. You should know that what they are. And I have a backwards reference, which I didn't have before. Oh, something. Got it. I know what it is. I didn't turn this back on. Now everything should work. Definitely need to set this as a reference to an object instead of finding it with a tag. And then that issue goes away when I'm testing things. So, sword. Sword. Bow. Bow. Awesome. So, what that lets me do is, when I'm going into this screen, I have that integer value that says I am number 3, right? I'm the third button. And that number 3 tells me what to do down here then. And that's what I was trying to get to. Because if I'm number 3, then I can go from that integer back to the enum to figure out which one it should be. And then that one gets the bracket around it to show that it's the primary or secondary weapon. Whew. Take a second to see what these are. Oh. I know you're using Visual Studio for coding, but what are you using for the game engine? It is Unity 3D is the name of the program, but I'm using 2D in it. It does both. Good question. I'm gonna save this. I'm gonna make a commit to my code. Set up inventory screen system to allow enum to be used on the buttons to choose what the item is for that button. What kind of game are you making? RPG? So it's a 2D top-down action adventure game. The fastest way for me to describe it is similar to or inspired by Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. So you can see I can attack my enemies here if I can hit him before he kills me. Oh gosh, getting low. Ah! Kill him. It's buggy. I'm 22 days into this, and this is going to be a huge project for me. There's all these different houses and stuff we built here. If I continue to scroll up, we'll go into different biomes. We'll load a different scene here. We've got a little maze that I've got a shortcut through, right? Another enemy here. My health is really low. I need to be careful. No, you're supposed to die in 2. Thank you. If I wouldn't have died, I would have showed you the start of a dungeon, right? It's all very, very pieces of a game right at this point, right? Like you can swing your sword, you can use your bow, and what I was working on here, the inventory, right, is as you collect different weapons, you should be able to trade out your weapons, right? So you have a primary and a secondary weapon. That's going to be the goal, is, you know, your left click is your primary, your right click is your secondary weapon. Or maybe it's not a weapon, it's one of them, right? Maybe you're going to have some magic wand that does things like that. But there's different areas, you know, you can go into here and it loads up this, stuff like that, right? So there'll be little quests, and there's be bosses inside the dungeons and puzzles inside the dungeons. There is a story. It's half-baked at the moment, so I don't have it fully fleshed out. Basically, the king of the land has been influenced by, or a spell set on him by an evil sorcerer, and that evil sorcerer's making him do his bidding. And he has made royal decrees declaring that the people in the village that we're from are to stay in the village. Right. Anyway, he decrees that they're supposed to stay in the village, and because the evil sorcerer has had visions that someone from this village is going to take him over. And what I was just demonstrating there, if I kill both of those mobs in here, which they're half-baked too, it opens the door. So, there's also pushable things in the game like this that go over to this button, and when that button's pushed, the door opens again. So just demonstrating what's capable, basically. The dungeon doesn't go any further than this. So he does a couple different decrees. One of the decrees is that everyone in that town has to stay in that town, right? So that gives you the background for why, if you leave that town, the royal knights that are also possessed by the evil spirit or evil sorcerer want to attack you immediately. So that's that background. The other piece of it is that decree doesn't stop the sorcerer's visions of someone coming to take him out. Secret, it's you, right? And so he does another decree, and that secondary decree is that all males over a certain age are to be arrested, right? So the king makes that decree, and this is where the story kind of starts, right? Where the game would start. The royal guards come into the town and arrest every male character, or every male over a certain age, and one of them is your father, and that's what triggers you, the protagonist in the story, to want to go out and rescue your father, basically, right? So your first quest will probably be to get your father's sword from somewhere in the house, right? You have to find your house, go into it, get your father's sword. Thus why the message on here said your father's sword, right? And then from there you set out into the world, and I've got bits and pieces from there, and that's why I said it's kind of a fractured story as I'm building this out. There will be multiple areas in the game. So this is my Trello board I'm working with. So we're gonna kind of down here in the town. This is where the starting area is going to be. There's going to be a forest over here, a desert that I started on. Hey, thank you for the follow, Red Desk. Appreciate it. The Greenland, that's going to be like just kind of like a plains biome type, right? And then a winterland, so snowy area, swamp, and then this area that hasn't been defined on this image that I did when I first started thinking this through. That's probably going to be the castle area or the kingdom, right? The where the king is, kind of like the final area you need to get to. Yeah, so there's still a lot of gaps to fill in along the way. So. You're probably the first person I've explained the story in that much detail, right? I've always been very vague about it on purpose before. So what are your thoughts on it, if you don't mind sharing? It sounds totally stupid as far as the whole evil sorcerer taking over the king's mind and making him make decrees that basically inspire our hero to action. So let's see, can I, on this, hopefully you're still here, you let me know your opinion, because I am interested to see what other people's opinion of it, because like I said, I haven't shared that much. And I prefer honesty, so I'm not going to be upset if it's an awful idea. I'd rather know. Let's see, can we do, what is this called as a paint? That's just a game object, right? So serializable field game object, but we already got the game object for it, right? We do. It's just here, and we don't have it serializable yet. Does that work with static? Find out. Where's the errors at? Too many warnings. And that's not even... I don't think it's working with static, and it doesn't really have to be static, so we're okay there. Oh, it does have to be static because the other ones are... I forgot the method was static. I probably do know. Doesn't sound too bad, although gathering the sword from someone the protagonist knows is very cliche, sure. I would change it to where the protagonist earns it for beating an enemy with their bare hands. Ooh, gosh. To earn steal their weapon. Other than that, it sounds really awesome. It is going to be a mobile game or something that I could see on platform like Steam. Not going to be a mobile game. Probably Steam. I get what you're going for. So they weren't going to directly get it from another person. They were going to find it in the house. That makes sense, right? Get what you're going for with beating another enemy. I don't know that I've got animations for that type of thing. I do know what you're saying. Like that. Oh, look, my uncle's in the dungeon and he's fallen and I take his sword, right? And he gives it to me because I must save the princess. That's the storyline for Zelda A Link to the Past, which I am inspired by, right? But I don't want to copy it. It's not what I'm going for. And maybe it's a minor difference that you find it in a chest or find it on an armor stand or something, right? Right. Okay, that works too. Cool. Appreciate your feedback. I really do. Thank you. Let's see. Can I do this then if this has to be static? Make it public? It is public. Crap. Well, I was trying to make this easy on myself. I could make another one. Another game object that's not static and then set it to that. That works. Block inventory, pop-up UI, startup. There. And then we just set this right here instead, and then if I hide it, I don't have to worry about it. Come on. Compile. Oh, you did. Take that. Awesome, it worked. So if I do this, and then I take this and turn this off, can we see it? Nope, 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 wrong one. We want this one. Oh, I did do that one, cool. Ooh, Armistan. It's your dad's priceless relic from his days in the National Army. And he proudly displays it upstairs. You have to sneak it out without Mom seeing. She never let you risk losing or damaging it. That is a good addition to the story. I'm trying to think, is it Mom that you have to sneak it out from? Or is it one of the guards that was there? Like, you just have to fight right off the bat, right? You find it, you have to sneak past him when he's not looking or something. And get it before he kills you. Oh, that could change the story a lot, though. Because then maybe he's trying to arrest you too, but you were just like... Oh. Informal tutorial to sneak the sword out. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Because like setting little mini goals at the beginning of a game is good, right? Because they establish that the player knows how to walk around, right? Or once they get a weapon, they know how to use the weapon, right? You can't leave the area until you kill this guy. He's blocking the way. Create a special AI for one of them that doesn't move around really. He just stands there guarding the door. I'm gonna add it to my top secret storyboard that I've just shared with everyone, and somehow CZ was here to hear. Oh wait, I mean Falcon. So, CZ, I know you'll be honest with me. For sure. Like, am I crazy in doing this? Am I like going the wrong direction with all this stuff? Does it look... So some other game devs came in and were like, hey, it looks great. Are you gonna hire an artist to like change those standard assets out that you've bought into something else? Like, am I kidding myself that using a purchased asset could be a good idea? So they seem to think it was pretty important that it be unique to mine. Crazy? Yes. All right. Mission accomplished. I make no delusions to myself that this will not replace my day job, right? That's not what this is about. Is this a project really just for you and your own enjoyment and personal satisfaction, or are you really trying to make money with it? It's both, right? I'm having fun doing this, so that's probably number one. Am I okay with it being a death cube? What do you mean by that? Like something we just play privately? It'll be single player. So there's no multiplayer aspect to it whatsoever. Am I okay if no one buys it? Yeah, sure. We enjoy making it and playing it and talking about it, but it never really takes off. Yeah. I didn't expect Death Cube to take off in anything other than people wanting to play it, right? There was no possibility of monetary anything about it. There's a possibility in my mind, right? I don't think it'll be life-changing for me, but if it is, awesome, right? But I don't think it will be. My concern about going to an artist and saying, make this in this vision that I have, right, is they're going to say, pay me, which makes sense, right? But then I'm investing in it, and it has to take off then to at least the degree to cover my cost. I think if you wanted this to be a big deal, you need an artist to replace those assets and tailor them to your story. Okay, thank you. Well, I need to make a game then, right? I need to make it fun in my mind for me to try and play it. If I can do that, then it probably makes sense for me to try an artist. Okay, that's interesting, because right now, if I were to send it to you, you could play it. There's really nothing to it. Like, you'd be done in 5 minutes, right? There's no... You fight this guy, you go to the desert, you fight the one guy there, you go to the dungeon, you fight the 2 guys in that room, that's it, right? There's like 4 enemies in the whole thing. It's got a long ways to go. And I'll be honest with you, the reason I have the art assets I have is, one, I was narrow-minded and thought it might work, right? As is. 2, I've done this before, and you know it, where I've said, I'm gonna make a game! And I go and start doing it, and I rely 100% on me, right? And I don't have the art skills to make anything look anywhere near this good. And it immediately demoralizes me from trying to do it from then on, right? It just... I will try and make a sword swing and it looks like poop and I'm done. It just doesn't... I don't want to do it anymore. And this isn't doing that. This is making me want to do it because it looks nice, right? It feels like a game that I'm building instead of just a turd simulator. I don't know. Okay, so I need to look at this again because I'm all flustered with this other stuff, and see what else I gotta do here. So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna click on this. We got the Father's Sword. These two buttons do nothing. This button does something. Okay, so we need to set up these buttons next. But looking at the time of day, I don't know how. Right. You're spot on with what it is. So obviously playtesting is going to happen all over the place, right? If you change anything, I personal opinion, this thing's going to shine the best I can get it to shine if I'm going to try and sell it. So I need to playtest it all over the place. So that's one piece. The other piece is, let's say this house, right? This house here. If that house changes its art tiles, it should just be as a matter of selecting the new tile for that corner here in Unity, and it works. That's going to take a lot of coordination between me and the artist, though, to do that. If it's in the same image file, I don't even have to do that. I just load in the new image file and it works, right? There's nothing to it. Where it becomes a little bit harder, though, are things that are animated, right? So this character here, this guy, he is like an arm sprite, an upper arm sprite, a lower arm sprite, a hand, a body, a torso, a head, eyes. They're all separate images in this huge sprite sheet. If they're not the exact same size and everything, that's all screwed up, right? And that's my biggest fear about it, is getting this right, because it's a set of sprites for all those things I mentioned, you know, the legs and everything too. All the clothes, because there's different armors and everything. The character rigging and animations would be the biggest strain on, yes, no doubt, because it's this one, right? So all those objects in up direction, down direction, and a side direction. You might think that there's two, but there's a trick that we do in Unity that basically says scale your x-axis in a negative number, -1, and it's flipped. So just having facing to the right is enough, or facing to the left is enough. So yeah, that's all this. We need all the weapons, right? And you know, there's 2 of the weapons, but I guess here's all the weapons. They all need to be the right length for what's going on, right? So like that sword needs to be that length. So like the sizes of things would need to be pretty close to what they are now, or it's gonna break stuff. It would be a lot of rework for me. With playtesting and everything, it might add another month to it, right? But my point is, I don't think it's a big issue for a pro. If you decide you want to make some coin on this later, you can hire 1 or 2 good artists, animators to help you out. Yeah. But I'd have to have the coin to do it. It's my problem, right? Depending on how I would get an agreement with them, right? So if they wanted to do the art for it and get paid up front, I'd have to have something to pay them with up front. Or would they rather get a percentage of the sales or something like that instead, which might be harder to do for some artists because they may not believe in the project as much. Yeah, so I guess I need to research that stuff a lot as far as what does an artist even get paid, right, for doing this kind of thing. Right. That's kind of where I'm going to go with it, because like I said, if I can't get it to a point where I'm happy with it being a game, if it doesn't feel like a game, forget the art that the grass looks this way versus another, it's not going to work, right? So can I code a game, basically, is what this is about. And these are the programmer art I'm working with until then. Okay. Thank you. Let's see. Let's go ahead and start wrapping up for the night. I appreciate everybody stopping by tonight, including anyone that stopped by when I was an idiot and I set it up wrong and did not have my microphone working. Thank you for coming back. But I'm going to go ahead and play Dungeons Man, because he's been making a game that I've been following myself, and it looks interesting. So I will catch you all guys all next time. Everyone down below that's followed tonight, thanks for the follow. Catch you next time. Bye. Here we go.